Hey everyone, welcome back to another update. Today we're unpacking Monday, February 16th and Tuesday, February 17th, a stretch where the DHS shutdown stretched on with no resolution in sight. US Iran nuclear talks showed cautious progress in Geneva. Secretary Rubio sent mixed signals to Europe, and midterms polling shifted further toward Democrats. Let's break it down. The partial Department of Homeland Security shutdown entered its fourth and fifth days with negotiations stalled and finger pointing intensifying. Congress remained out of town for recess, leaving back channel talks between the White House and Democrats to yield little progress. The White House rejected the latest Democratic offer for constraints on immigration agents, including limits on masks, random sweeps, and use of force rules, calling them unacceptable. Democrats accused Republicans of refusing meaningful reforms amid backlash over ICE tactics. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan emphasized that core enforcement continued largely unaffected due to prior year funding, but non-essential functions felt the strain, with workers furloughed or unpaid. DHS issued statements condemning Democrats for putting politics over public policy, while Democrats framed it as necessary accountability after incidents like the Minneapolis citizen shootings. With lawmakers not returning until next week and no short-term CR on the table, this lapse could extend well into late February, testing resolve ahead of midterms and potentially complicating disaster response amid severe weather hitting parts of the country. On to U.S.-Iran nuclear talks. High-stakes diplomacy took center stage. Indirect U.S.-Iran talks, mediated by Oman, resumed in Geneva on Tuesday, lasting several hours. The Iranian foreign minister described them as more constructive, saying the sides reached an understanding on main guiding principles for a potential nuclear deal, though key gaps, including enrichment levels, sanctions relief, ballistic missiles, and proxies, remain unresolved. Iran hinted at compromises on uranium in exchange for a full sanctions lift, but drew firm red lines elsewhere. U.S. officials, led by envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, offered no immediate public readout, but Vice President Vance called it mixed. Some agreement to continue, yet Iran unwilling to cross President Trump's red lines. Trump has threatened strikes, military planning reportedly underway for weeks-long operations, and regime change if talks fail, with a second carrier, USS Gerald R. Ford, en route, and recent U.S. strikes on suspected drug boats in the region adding pressure. Iran's supreme leader warned of sinking U.S. warships if tensions escalate further. This round keeps the diplomatic threat alive amid buildup, but analysts warn Trump's patience for talks may be limited, potentially heading toward confrontation if there is no breakthrough soon. Let's switch to messaging during and after the Munich Security Conference. Secretary of State Marco Rubio signed a major nuclear agreement with Hungary, and he delivered a speech that received significant praise and positive reception in the room. He delivered a roughly 30-minute keynote that emphasized shared transatlantic heritage, the importance of a strong Europe in the alliance, warnings about mass migration and civilizational erasure, and calls for allies to step up on defense and border control, while framing the U.S. as Europe's child with intertwined fates. He received a standing ovation at the end, with multiple sources describing it as enthusiastic. However, some of his moves post-Munich drew attention. Days after urging European allies to reduce U.S. dependence and defend Western civilization, he gave a public boost to Hungary's far-right Prime Minister Viktor Orban, praising his re-election prospects. This came amid Rubio's broader push for a new Western century with stronger transatlantic ties, but on U.S. terms. Critics saw inconsistency, mending fences with Munich, then aligning with a divisive figure. Supporters viewed it as pragmatic realpolitik. Meanwhile, California Governor Gavin Newsom, also at Munich, positioned subnational leaders as counterweights to Trump's foreign policy, emphasizing democracy and alliances. Now it's time for the noteworthy tidbits, which are brought to you today by Old Glory. Let me tell you about them quick. Are you looking for a gift for a music lover, or maybe some apparel to show off your quirky side? Old Glory has you covered. With over 300,000 officially licensed items covering music, sports, entertainment, and pop culture, you're guaranteed to find the perfect item. They even have seasonal gear. My husband enjoys the Beatles and Led Zeppelin apparel, and I love the Billy Idol apparel. I even found items for my fellow plant enthusiasts. This family-owned superstore is known for their quality and customer service, offers free standard shipping on all orders, and orders are shipped the same day you purchase. My discount code gives you 15% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit oldglory.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. All right, let's get back to the tidbits. President Trump announced that a sewer line breach in Maryland has caused millions of gallons of raw sewage to be dumped directly into the Potomac River, and that he's directing federal authorities to immediately provide all necessary management, direction, and coordination to protect the Potomac, the water supply, and natural resources. He also pointed out that FEMA, which is currently being defunded by the Democrats, will play a key role in coordinating response. DHS spokesperson and Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin is departing the Trump administration. President Trump said he will still give the State of the Union next week, even if the government is still shut down. Judiciary Committee Chair Jim Jordan confirmed Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison was paid campaign cash in exchange for covering up fraud. Japanese plastic maker Senko is surging its first United States manufacturing facility in San Antonio, Texas, and President Trump announced a $550 billion trade deal with Japan. A judge ruled that Missouri's governor had full constitutional authority to call a special session where they redistricted the 2026 congressional map. Lastly, New Mexico lawmakers approved a probe into Epstein's Zorro Ranch activities. That's February 16th and 17th in focus. The DHS shutdown lingers with no off-ramp, Iran talks show flickers of progress under heavy military shadow, and midterms momentum tilts blue. Will diplomacy hold, or are we nearing a breaking point? Share your thoughts on Instagram or X at Shades of Jade Pod. If these 2-day episodes are helping you stay caught up, subscribe, drop a review, and tell a friend. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.